We experience time as a deep river current, a cosmic background process carrying us from the past and into the future, completely indifferent to whether we exist at all. General relativity was the first crack in that assumption. Albert Einstein proved this supposedly rigid dimension is actually flexible, bending and slowing around massive objects. But if you zoom in past the scale of planets and stars, down to the absolute frontier of quantum gravity, the concept of time begins to disintegrate. This is where we run into the Wheeler-DeWitt equations. In the mathematical formulas that attempt to describe the fundamental state of the universe, the variable for time simply isn't there. At the deepest level of reality, time does not exist. Modern physicists like Carlo Rovelli have proposed relational time, suggesting dynamics reduced to specific physical relationships. Yet these models still struggle to explain why you and I experience a visceral, continuous, one-way flow. The observer-dependent theory of everything, or ODTOE, approaches this problem from a completely different angle. It introduces a single axiom: time emerges solely as a byproduct of observation. With time functioning as a derivative of observation, we are the engines driving the universe's clock. To understand how observation creates time, we have to look at the smallest possible quantum scale, at the exact moment before a timeline begins. ODTOE defines the starting point as the space of potential states. This is an abstract field where all possible realities exist simultaneously, unbroken and unobserved. Then, the act of observation occurs. An observation operator extracts a single hard configuration of reality out of that infinite potential. The process doesn't end there. Through a reverse injection, this newly observed reality is immediately fed back into the space of potential, altering its structure for the next cycle: potential to reality and back to potential. Each complete cycle generates exactly one discrete step. The ticking clock of the universe is the rhythmic pulse of reality, constantly observing and updating itself. This creates an immediate logical paradox. If time is generated by a closed observation loop, reality should repeat itself endlessly in a perfect circle. Every time an observation cycle occurs, there is a mathematical phase increment. Think of it as the rotational distance the loop travels before it tries to close back on itself. Very deep inside the math of that phase increment is a specific, familiar ingredient: the number pi. Because pi is a transcendental number, its decimals extend infinitely. It can never be resolved into a clean, rational fraction. When the loop tries to close, it misses its origin point by a microscopic, mathematically inescapable margin. That tiny mathematical failure prevents reality from perfectly repeating. The cycle never closes, forcing the circular loop to stretch out into an expanding, unrepeating spiral. The one-way arrow of time emerges directly from this geometry. It is a geometric guarantee born from the unclosable nature of pi. If we bring this math out of the quantum realm and apply it to the human brain, we can trace exactly how this spiral shapes our daily perception of passing hours. ODTOE measures the quality and clarity of human observation using a metric called cognitive coherence. Cognitive coherence peaks when the gap between what an observer expects and what they observe shrinks to zero. When alignment happens, the internal iterative cycle requires less effort. The discrepancy vanishes, causing the subjective speed of your observation spiral to decelerate. In general relativity, massive objects exert gravity to slow down clocks. In this framework, coherence acts as the gravity inside the observer's mind, stretching out the effective duration of every cycle. This is the mathematical basis for deep meditation or psychological flow states. As coherence rises, individuals report experiencing a suspended, expanded present. A scattered mind races through its timeline, checking off frantic, short-lived cycles. But as coherence approaches its theoretical limit, the subjective duration of a single moment stretches toward infinity. If 8 billion humans are generating their own individual speeds of time, why doesn't reality fracture into 8 billion completely separate timelines? To understand this, we have to look at the Earth differently. It operates as a massive cluster of interacting observers. Each observer projects their own slightly different configuration of reality, but they do not exist in isolation. They are deeply entangled. The collective here and now is the mathematical region of maximum overlap between these billions of individual realities. This density of agreement makes our shared timeline feel stable and absolute. We perceive a unified present because our configurations overlap enough to agree. Standard physics has long maintained that we are passive witnesses to a universe that is simply happening to us. But time does not happen to us. Through the unrepeating loop of observation, we are the engines of the universe, actively carving the future into existence with every look.